Excellent. Welcome, welcome. So today is Thursday, May 1st. This was the monthly open. Quite an interesting month. Obviously, April kind of had this, large bearish trend kind of going and going and going until late April, right? Late April. And then once late April came around, we reversed. And if you guys were following, thankfully, you guys caught the reversal with me on some of them, which was good. Um, so the question now is what happens, right? Well, simply put, based on the dynamics of this range, at least on the weekly, just starting with USDTD first, the most obvious point would be the 4.2, and I think I've marked this out actually had this marked out for quite a while now. The 4.2 is kind of where I want to see price move back down to, with possibly some sort of chop and rejection around the 4.5, 4.6 on the weekly as well. But what's interesting is this kind of lines up, right? This lines up with that theory of sell in May and go away, right? Because this is effectively the pump we're going to be seeing in the next few weeks is going to be kind of like I'd almost say the top, right? The top of many coins. And fear not though, because if you guys don't get too comfortable, because as I said in my previous streams, the quarterly has not completed yet. We are just back testing the balance of this previous quarterly candle. We could sweep the low, but again, we have 2 months left. 2 months left on this quarterly. We did take the high, so we're actually back testing the balance of it. So really, if we are unable, and I'll kind of give you the forewarning here, is if we are unable to clear the range low on this last quarterly candle, we are going to probably have again the biggest dump that we're going to see in a while, and that'll be after probably like May, right? Late May-ish. But I do want to see this 7% tapped. I really want to see this 7.7 to 7.5% tapped, probably late May-ish, right? And that'll be when we really pull the trigger on a lot of coins. And the reason why I say don't get too comfortable with in the high time frame with many of your coins and many of your longs or spot bags is you name any coin, you look at every single structure, they all look the exact same in some fashion. And I'll give you an example right now. One of them that I was looking at recently was NKN. This one is really cool. I really love it. Looks amazing. But let me clean up this chart a little bit, just so we don't have too much mumbo jumbo here. So on the monthly, this looks really nice because we did sweep the low 3 times. I have the all-time low, the zero's not all-time low. I have 0 marked out in red here, so a coin effectively going down to 0. This quarterly candle right now is till 2 months left. We did create a tiny micro inversion right here and green. So that quarterly is still open, right? So even if we tap this quarterly on the monthly, that's still open. So weekly here, what I do not like, and why I will tell everyone here, this is not the all-time low for most coins, is because of the weak lows that we see down here. These are very weak lows, and every single coin has a signature like this. And every single coin basically will tell you that this is not the all-time low. It will go lower. And the way that we are moving right now, this is a manipulation leg. We are basically creating a very thin line of trend line liquidity, basically very thin trend line liquidity, where we are mounting, right? We're mounting the 339 in this example. But literally all of these coins look very similar. What we're going to do is we're going to see a squeeze, right? Some sort of squeeze where we're going to pump really far, really fast. However, the quarterly I expect to play out would basically do something like this, right? Pump far, fast, right? But we still end up clearing these lows at a later date. So on the daily, for example, we could do something like this where I'll clean this up a little bit. And there's so many coins like this, right? There's so many where we basically do this. We go up to here, only to go back down to take the low again, and then only when we take the low again will we see something really happen in the actual move for the range, right? So kind of what I'm looking at, and most of the coins that we're seeing and trading right now, we're trading based on a manipulation leg, right? We're effectively what you would call a short squeeze, where we're seeing candles that are pushing higher, ranging higher, and taking each range higher without actually creating. There's no bullish. This is not this in a bull run. This is not bullish candles. These are not candles that signify a bull run. These are candles that are signifying a manipulation leg, based on how they're rebalancing higher. All they're doing is rebalancing higher. You name the coin, it looks exactly like this. Every single coin I've seen looks exactly like this in some fashion. So a lot of them, there's like some exceptions, but a lot of them are very similar to that regard. So, cautiously optimistic with your longs, hold them, but just be very careful, because come May, we want to make sure that we're a little bit more careful with our longs there. So I'll do Bitcoin and then Ethereum real quick. Bitcoin, this is not actually accurate anymore. Bitcoin is very similar here, right? On the low time frames, we do have this consolidation higher. This is what's funny, is that this is actually making a market maker sell model. This is a model that is effectively a bearish model on the high time frame. We have two consolidations here, right? And all we need is one more major consolidation with a possible PDA inversion that's tapped into. So like the 8-hour up here seems obvious. So 102. So what I want to see here is I want to see a break of 102, possibly 104, and then a reconsolidation underneath. This is the most bearish model we can possibly have, assuming we do not take the high, assuming we do not make a higher high. Because what will end up happening is, on the high time frame, going back to my quarterly example, or let's go to the monthly real quick, right? Monthly real quick here. Or actually weekly is a little better. Once we consolidate underneath without a higher high, what's going to happen? Price is going to rebalance all the way back down to 62, right? And we're probably going to rebalance maybe even further down, maybe even further, to be honest. I know you guys don't like hearing me say that, but that is the truth of the matter, right? It is making a market maker sell model on the high time frame. I would expect 60 to be tapped once we tap the 100. So I am planning some very, very heavy shorts once we do move up to this range. The most obvious one is Solana. Solana is kind of like a textbook right here because of how it created this weekly inversion, and it has an SMR on the weekly already. It has an SMR on the weekly, created a weekly inversion. We literally have, this is literally the market makers telling us, hey, short right here, and you will make a boatload of money right there, right? This is where we want to short right there. Because when we're targeting, we're going to be sweeping that range. We're going to be tapping the range high, not going to be taking the high, making another higher high. And instead, we're going to be taking all of this smooth liquidity right there. Just huge open gaps on the weekly and the monthly. So even if we consolidate, any sort of consolidation after we tap 230-ish, any sort of consolidation is incredibly bearish, right? Incredibly, because all we're going to do is just going to rebalance right back down. So $33, $20 rough target for Solana. So I'll be doing that. That'll be a weekly, quarterly swing, where I'm going to be basically timing the high time frame entries on once we get around 240, and then scaling in heavy on the low time frame once we start to create inversions, and then basically hold that for like a few months, right? Hold that long swing, maybe add to it, right, on confirmation, and not TP until we get under $100. So that's what I'm planning on Solana as well. So keep your eyes peeled on that one. But let's see. I think I was going to do ETH next, and then open to suggestions. I do only have roughly 30 minutes now, like only 15 minutes roughly left. So I'll answer any questions as well. Okay, so Ethereum. Actually, Ethereum is interesting because with Ethereum, you can look at the ETH BTC chart, and it's actually quite bullish, which is strange, because once we get to this level, we already took all the range lows. If we can close above the next week over 002, then really what's going to happen here is we're going to see a very, very fast moving push on Ethereum's strength over Bitcoin. So I'm running a small Ethereum long. I might add to it later, but for the most part, it's it's pretty small. But it's basically the same thing here, right? We are making this first leg up, possibly want to see 1, 2, 3, at least 3 legs up. But what's funny is once we get 3 legs up there, we're back in high time frame range. And really what could happen is we could just go like this, right? And go straight to 5 without even a blink of an eye, right? There is very clean, very, very clean high time frame, relative equal highs there. So a lot of people putting their stop losses right there at the 41.20 roughly. So yeah, gonna just TP ETH, just going up. I might add to it later, but it's TP going up all the way to the weekly. Depending on this impulse, we could go into a new range. So a little bullish on Ethereum here now. The monthly looks good, the weekly looks good. And yeah, we do have, here's our range right there, right? So basically once we get closures back above 2K, this is the confirmed deviation. So I'll draw this out again. Roughly something like this I'd want to see. So that is that. So let's go over stuff. Let's see. What do you guys got? Can we expect? I'll answer some questions here. Yes, my recordings are in my channel. I try and repost them as well, the YouTube links. And then for USDTD, can we expect a correction? Correction, yes. Simply put, yes, I am expecting a correction. Whether or not this goes to 4.2 and then bounces again, or we just go straight through, undetermined. We could also do that, but I'm just going to play it range by range. I'm expecting at least 4.2 here. So probably, early May, we'll start to top out in the market, and, we'll start to be bottoming out or ranging, consolidating on USDTD. Awesome. And then Taz, yes. XCH, a near and dear love of mine right now. Basically, this coin is one of those that very underrated, but the high time frame looks absolutely stunning. We have a breaker block, a weekly breaker block right at 20, and then we have where we flipped. Actually, we flipped bearish originally. But what's interesting now is that if we can take this range, right, this weekly, we're already inverting this previous week's high. Now, if we can take this range and make closures above 12 on the weekly, this is going to end up going back into high time frame range. And we already cleared yearly lows. So there's literally no more long liquidity left to take on the high time frame here. So if we can break and mount 12, this is going to be basically a straight shot to our breaker block, probably about 20. Once we get to 20, I want to see some ranging, some consolidation, something going on there, right? I'd like to see a retest of 12. And then once we get that retest of 12, if we are unable to make a weekly closure under 12, then I'll tell you, all-time high is confirmed, right? It's that simple. All-time high, standard deviation for this one goes to roughly like 220, and that's like, that's an aggressive target. If you go exponential, if you go to the exponential standard deviations, it goes to about 650. So I'll put that in as well. I think I might have moved that. Where is this? Oh, no, it's here. Sorry. Yeah, so about 650 right up here. I have that right. Oh, 620, whatever, 620. So there's really the targets for this. For once we go into price discovery, what's going to happen is we're going to break and mount the 12, and then we're going to break and mount the weekly breaker block probably. But I want to go heavy around 12, and then once we get that retest, and then hold it, and then basically recompound again if we get a retest on 20, because at that point we're back in the high time frame range, right? There's no reason to sell unless you're just taking partials. And then the real sells will be on the all-time highs after that. But so all we need to do is for now just hold. But really what we're looking for is the break and mount on the weekly. So probably in the next few weeks, the break and mount of 20, and then the break and mount of 12, and then the break and mount of 20. Yes, hopefully that answered your question. Pretty straightforward there. I'm expecting this to play out over the next few weeks. So it's a hold, but we'll keep adding. It'll be fun. And then DOT. Let's do DOT real quick. DOT's good. Actually, DOT's good here because we cleared quarterly lows. We cleared quarterly lows. All we need to do now in this quarterly candle, we got 2 months left in this candle, is to close it. Close it right where it is. Right where it is. And altcoin season looks like it's heating up, right? It looks like it's coming closer. We might make more lower lows on some coins, other coins maybe not. We opened the monthly with a flat here, so I would expect us to go back down there at some point. So possibly like where we take 5 and then retest 4 again. So on the weekly, I want to see something like this play out. I want to see a push up to like 5, and then eventually a retest to 4. That's when we could start taking more confident plays for longs. But for now, don't need to overexpose yourself with too many longs if you already exposed. But it's just play it range by range, and let price come to you. Don't rush it, because right now, even though we cleared this low, this is incredibly bullish. If you're in a long right now, great, hold it, keep it going. We do have a bullish CSD right here, so this is already supporting bullish delivery. However, it is rebalanced because we are also supporting bearish delivery. We did do a bearish CSD right here, so effectively all we're doing is rebalancing the range. So if we can rebalance higher, then all we're going to do is build liquidity for on the long side. So on the next sweep, we'll have a little bit more confidence for the actual the long. And then let's do BAT, and then I'll start going through everyone else's questions as well. So some of these are, let's see, what's this one? I haven't looked at this one at all. Actually, this one's pretty good. This is not too bad. This is a very good consolidation. We got some weekly there. We got some weekly here. We're rebalancing. Quarterly looks like it is going to go for that, and then rebalance the high. So yeah, it's the same thing. Like every single thing looks almost identical. Here's our quarterly range, right? We rebalance higher, and then retest this low, and then we're off to the races, right? So that's BAT right there. We want to see this rebalance. That's the high, roughly, and then probably if we're going from this range, the OTs for that lineup, I'm going to draw these out. Let's get those a little cleaned up. Yeah, that checks out. So for this one, probably good to also wait. Also, don't need to rush this. If you're in longs right now, again, just hold them. That's fine. Hold them fine. It's going to be a grind. I expect it to be a grind up, slowly, either a grind up and then a pop, or like a slow grind up for a lot of these. So, but yeah, like, if you want to add long exposure, risk manage it. Here's a stop right here. This is a low time from SMR right there. At 14. So if you want a long on this one, then this is like, there's your long right there. That's a 4 RR, but you're playing the continuation. The reason why I wouldn't do this here is we're playing continuation, plus you're still in OTEs. So price could sweep you right here. It could do this, or it could do something like this, right, where we go down first. But either way, it's going to end up going up here, right? It's going to end up going there at some point. So if you want to do this, you got to make sure you're risk managing, because this range is still a little too wide to do a continuation. So for now, if you're in longs, make sure you risk manage. If not, then I would wait for the impulse, and then we can take the shorts on the range, and then from there, you want to wait for the long, right? same thing. But this is a lot of these are shaping up to be really, really nice. Only taking some of the ones that have tighter ranges. I think this one looks like it has slightly wider of a range here. The daily's open. There's a daily open down here, honestly. So 13. Technically, this range is a little too wide. I wouldn't put your stop actually at 14 because that's not a safe stop. As soon as, yeah, we still could do something like this, right? Or we could just do something like this from here. Both would be bullish. Any consolidation here would be bullish. So unless you're, making sure you have a wide range risk profile for this, that's not going to be, I wouldn't hop into longs unless it's a tight range. That's the point. Cool. Let's check out some more questions. I have a few more minutes here. Let's do BNB. BNB. Oh, my BNB chart's so messy. I don't know what's going on here. What do I need to do? Oh, yeah, BNB. This is quite bearish, actually. This is quite bearish. We're back in range on multiple ranges here. We have an SMR, a weekly SMR, 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a fourth already back in range. But this could just like mess around a little bit. Ultimately, though, what I would expect is the range to hold against this weekly. So something like this would be more likely. So I want to see this range hold right here. So not a fan of this BNB structure here. The RR for either a short or a long isn't that good because obviously if you're taking a short, you're going to have to use your stop is going to have to be at this SMR. This is the only spot that's safe. Every single level, there's even relative equal highs up here, right? So technically that's unsafe right up there. We could wick through there, we could wick through here. Orange levels, price could dip into and still be bearish, right? Still be bearish there. Ultimately, though, I want to see 345. As you can see, guys, I do have an alert down here at 340 for BNB. I want to see BNB down at 345-ish before I consider longing. But I haven't really played BNB too much because it's a little bit of a messy structure. So that's just a personal preference. But yes, hopefully that answers your question. SUI, let's do some SUI. And then I'll go through some more here. So for SUI, let me clean this chart up a little bit. There's a little too many. Oops, what am I doing? Here we go. Clean this chart up. Great. So quarterly on SUI, we took the high. Interesting. We took the low. Now it's seeking the high, right? So I'll clean this chart up a little bit. Really, our liquidity levels is orange, right? This is those are current draw, and then OTE from the range brings us to about there. So let's do the weekly from here. This is a very weak high. So expecting the range to hold against this level for this SMR. So assuming whatever this high is going to be, I'm going to just guess here. This is a very rough guess, but assuming the high is going to hold, what I want to see is something where we go up to like basically 3 to 4, and then consolidate before sweeping the 2, and then holding the 2 before new all-time high. So assuming we range, it's going to basically just continue to range here. Looks like this is a very weak high though, so I wouldn't short. If we push this high, I wouldn't short here. I also wouldn't long here until we get back down to the 2, like under $3 again, because that's range balance, right? This is right down there. Under yellow is where I want to see to look for buys. This is a clean structure once we get down there, but here I just wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't do anything with it yet. So Sui is still cooking. It's nothing to do with it yet, but still cooking. So expecting orange to play out there a little bit on Sui. But yes, I would be careful with any longs beyond like $4. Anywhere beyond $4, and it's gonna be rejecting. Awesome. So I have about a couple more minutes left. Let's do hype. I'll try and go through these pretty quickly, and then I'll do fart coin. Hype. Hype I drew out a while ago. Hype looks great. I actually want to see one more push up to 22, and then a rebalance back down to 13 to 14. Right, this is where I'm more interested in it, because this is already also making a market maker sell here. So I'm going to expect price to rebalance back down to 13 before we pick it up again. So let's do this. I'll clean up the chart again, and I'm going to actually set an alert for myself, because I want to do bar close underneath, right? Hype long. And that'll be daily close underneath. We get this range, and this should be it right here. I want to get it from that high. Yep, that looks good. So here's our long right there. Basically between 14 to 12. That's our long, 14 to 12. We'll wait until then, but for now we could, get to the short later. But for now, this is like a no trade zone, but it is building. It's building, which is great. This is, if we can hold 12, then this will make a new all-time high as well. This will. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. And then last but not least, I will do fart coin, and then I gotta run. So fart coin here, very messy, very, very messy on the low time frames. It is trending up, which leads me to believe that the weekly still has not finished its impulse. What's crazy is we haven't even taken this liquidity here at 1.3. So I still wouldn't short it. This is still a no trade zone for me on fart coin. Monthly also didn't extend yet. So really I have this orange line up here, but effectively what I'm expecting is a very, very fast manipulation wick where we just take out every single short, sweep the highs, only to close back in range underneath 4. So like you could do limits on this, but it's like, trying to stop a bullet train. So I would not touch this yet. Longing or shorting, both. I wouldn't even long it, because even here is just like you have open gaps all the way down here. It's just that the structure is just way too much of a mess here. I'll wait until it clears up a little bit over here before I take anything. But yes, that is all for me. Thanks again for joining, and feel free to hit me up if you have any questions. I will post my recording in my chat later. And yeah, happy trading. I'll catch you all guys, I think hopefully next week. See ya.